This week, I was both surprised and honored to be included in a HiFi tag video by Skylabs Audio, a channel that I've been watching for years, long before I ever started my own YouTube channel. I was excited until Kevin dissed one of my favorite products that I use every day. That's right, I own something that Kevin strongly dislikes, and I'm going to do my best throughout this video not to cry about it while answering his questions. But be sure to stick around to the end, because the question about whether I need to upgrade gear, this is where I've got to talk about the product that he dislikes, and who knows, maybe it's time for me to upgrade based solely on his opinion. We'll see. Let's start with the first question now. All right, question number 1. Name the first piece of gear that led you down the hi-fi rabbit hole. All right, about 8 years ago, I stumbled on a Craigslist ad for 3 vintage receivers for $600. A Pioneer SX450 that wasn't working properly, a Sansui 2000, and a Marantz 2270. I jumped on this ad right away. I had to drive an hour the opposite way one morning from work to meet someone at a Cracker Barrel and buy these, and then double back and drive about 2 hours into the office that morning. Now, the Marantz 2270 at the time worked fine. I ended up selling off the Sansui 2000, which worked great right away. So I really only paid about $400 for this Marantz. And if you know what pricing is on Marantz 2270s today, it's a pretty good deal. Now, unfortunately, I'm having some issues with the receiver now just due to age. There's some noisy and crackling transistors throughout the preamp and amp sections. And I actually pointed that out in a video I made on this channel when I first started it about that receiver, sort of my big first vintage buy, if you want to go back and check out that video. But now I'm wondering, Kevin, can I drive up to your place and drop this receiver off and have it repaired? I don't even know how long of a drive would that be from Nashville. Yeah, okay. It's just 11 hours. I've driven further for Stranger Things, I think. I don't know. Kevin, let me know. Maybe I'll jump in the car and make a video and drive this up and drop it off with you guys to repair. But that Marantz 2270 is what led me into vintage hi-fi. I love the receiver. I'll never sell it, and I'm totally worth putting the money in to have it fixed and get it back up and running. All right, question number 2. Name the favorite piece of hi-fi equipment that you currently own. Okay, this is easy. Several years ago, a friend of mine offered me the chance to buy a Macintosh gear, and he sold me his Macintosh MC2505 amplifier. And I immediately jumped on this opportunity as well. I got it for a great price. I can't remember exactly because I bought it with some bundled gear, which I'll mention here next. But I just absolutely love this amplifier. I've made an entire video on this channel about it. When I got it, some of the bulbs were burned out. I changed the light on it and nervously removed that glass and somehow put it back together without it breaking, which was one of the scariest things I have ever done. But I will never sell this Macintosh amplifier. Luckily, somebody reached out to me not too long ago after seeing the video I made about it and offered me the ability to buy the wooden case. So I now need to install that with this case. But knock on wood, it's been working great ever since I bought it, and it's just a staple piece for me and something that I'll keep forever. Name the product you bought that you regretted. Okay, I'm going to change this a little bit because I bought plenty of things that I regret in this game of vintage audio. So I want to tweak this question, if that's okay with Kevin, to say what I regret selling. Because there's one thing that I really absolutely regret selling, and that goes back to this Macintosh amplifier, because in that bundle came a C26 preamp, and in a moment of weakness, a friend of mine offered me really great money for it, and I sold it, and I absolutely regret selling it because he's now in turn gone off and sold it. So I have no idea where it is now, but I really absolutely regret selling that preamp that matched with this 2505. I'm sure plenty of you will tell me that I should regret that in the comments. I even am embarrassed to admit that I had it and sold it, but I regret selling that so much more than anything that I've ever regretted buying. Okay, question number 4. If you could only use one song to demo your stereo system, what would it be? Really? This question is hard, Kevin. Thanks. Okay, the song I've been listening to the most lately when demoing things is the National Anthem by Radiohead off their album Kid A. This is sort of what I've been listening to the last couple of years because it's got the bass that you want to be able to hear. It's got a lot of bleeps and blurps and interesting instrumentation. It's got this crazy saxophone solo at the end that's sort of blaring over all of the other instrumentation. And it has the ability, if your system's not performing at its best, to just sound really jumbled up and messy. But if your system is where it should be, it just is separated nicely and not a challenge to listen to. So that's the song I've been using the most recently. But I also just stumbled on a new artist named Arouge Aftab. And I just bought 2 of her CDs. This is Night Rain, which just came out, and this is Vulture Prince. She's a great Pakistani American singer. This is a little bit more traditional hi-fi vocal-based performance singing type music that's great to test your hi-fi with. Night Rain has a song called Autumn Leaves, which just has this really sort of dual tempo going on between her vocals and the instrumentation. It's just different in a unique way. And somewhere like halfway through the song, this keyboard solo comes out of nowhere. It's just, both of these albums are recorded great and they'd be perfect for testing hi-fi gear. So I'm going to be using these along with the Radiohead track I mentioned for future testing. Okay, question number 5. If money were no issue, what is your perfect system? Again, Kevin, tough question. Here we go. I don't think I'll ever have a perfect system, regardless of money. I just like switching things in and out too much. I like mixing vintage gear and modern gear. I just like putting things together and determining if the sound improved or just basically stayed the same or maybe even got worse. It's just fun for me to continue to mix and match. So I don't know that I would ever have a perfect system, because even if I spent a ton of money, I would constantly be looking at new products or even maybe old products that I never heard before and want to bring those in and try to determine, I don't know, what difference it made for the system that I currently had. If I could spend any kind of crazy amount of money, I would actually consider building like my own little dedicated space, even my own little like building in my backyard, where it's just a dedicated listening space that's properly treated for sound. And you could just build out a system there and go out there and just sort of disappear into a sound system into a room that's nothing but a crazy sound system. That's probably what I would do. But within that system, things would constantly be moving around. In fact, I would probably build the room so you could enter this via the side and have 2 systems set up, one on each side, and then you could maybe just have chairs on either, right? And then you could listen to this system and then maybe just turn around, go over to this chair and listen to that system. That would be kind of fun. I think that's where I'd put all of this imaginary money that I don't have into before I would just go out and buy one system that I think would be perfect for forever. If you had to choose one music format, what would it be? All right, I'm just going to go with vinyl because I've always loved collecting records. I've been collecting them since college. I started buying records because they were cheaper than CDs at the time. I find myself sometimes buying CDs more than records today because it's the reverse. CDs are cheaper than vinyl, but I still love picking up records whenever I find them. I still love going into a store and sorting through all of them. I still love the idea that I might find something incredibly rare or just something that I've never heard before with a vinyl record. And that's sometimes easier to do with such a larger visual format than it is with something like a cassette tape or CD. And definitely with streaming. For me, it's harder for me to discover new music on streaming versus just going into a store and flipping through records. So for now, my answer to question number 6 is vinyl. Okay, question number 7. What's a stereo product that people love that you just don't understand? All right, I might get in trouble on this one, but for me, it's Bluetooth turntables. The first time I ever heard of a Bluetooth turntable, I thought that can't be right. That seems wrong, right? And I guess for me, I'm not a huge fan of Bluetooth streaming music anyway from my phone to a streamer. I feel like you lose information in that stream and you can't hear everything. And for me, the whole idea of buying and storing all of this vinyl in my house is that when I play it, I'm going to get as much information as possible, both from the stylus and the preamp and my amplifier and the speakers, all connected with cables that are able to properly carry that source. So a Bluetooth transmitted audio source from a turntable to me just feels like you're going to lose some of that information. And so it's not something that I would choose to put into a stereo system. What is your next upgrade? Okay, time for a heart-to-heart here. When I was watching Kevin's video and Ed's video from Old Guy HiFi, a new friend of mine, by the way, both of them absolutely strongly disliked Klipsch speakers. Kevin specifically disliking Klipsch Heresy speakers, which is what I own and use and love. And so now I'm thinking, well, maybe my next upgrade needs to be speakers. So I would love for everyone to let me know in the comments, A, should I upgrade my Heresy speakers? And B, if so, what should I consider getting? Now, I know this is all just in fun, so I'm not really that offended because everyone has their own interpretations of what speakers work best within their system. So I'm not actually, my feelings aren't actually hurt on this, but I did seek out a pair of Heresies for forever, and then I finally found them for a good price. In fact, I made a video about them on this channel. Buying speakers stresses me out. It is the hardest thing for me to make a decision on. Everyone has a different opinion. They all sound different based on your system. They're not easy just to rent and pop in your system and try to determine if they sound right anymore without any hi-fi stores around. It's so stressful. So I really thought I'd hit a home run by finally finding these Heresies for a good price, and now I'm totally second guessing based on this video. Thanks, Kevin. A piece of equipment that you've kept in your system for looks alone. This is easy. A Pioneer RT 909 reel-to-reel. I bought this from a friend who was moving. I got a great price on it. I've had to have it repaired twice. I always think I'm going to use it constantly. Every time I look at it, I get excited because it just is such a great looking piece of vintage hi-fi, and yet I rarely ever use it. Now, part of the reason is because I'm lacking the proper place to put it in my system based on the way everything is set up. Doing YouTube reviews has kind of complicated my entire stereo setup because it's constantly changing. So I am actually working on a bonus room that we have, and I do think that if I could set up a little area down there where I could actually display this better, and I think I would use it a lot more within a separate system down there. But it's such a great, awesome looking unit, and these reel-to-reels fetch pretty great prices. But because I got it for such a great deal, I don't want to let it go. So one of my goals into this year, next year, as we develop this other room in our house, is to really put this 909 back in use. All right, question number 10. The last piece of equipment that made you want to re-listen to your entire music collection. Okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one because it didn't make me want to listen to my entire music collection, but I recently found my old iPod, and amazingly enough, the battery is still working. It still holds a charge, and I was able to go through, this is a 7th generation, 160 gigabytes, and I have been going through this and finding albums and artists and music that I completely forgot about. I think I was using this in its heyday, probably like 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. And it's not that it makes me want to listen to my entire music collection, but it's made me enjoy listening to it. It's such a snapshot time capsule of what I was listening to during that time that I haven't still been listening to today. So there's all these great like indie bands and some hip hop stuff and some live concerts and things that I completely forgot about that are sitting on here, and I've had such a great time going through it. In fact, I've loved it so much, I have fallen into the iPod modding rabbit holes, and I'm not going to mess with this one because it's the 7th gen, but I ended up buying a busted up 5th gen, and I'm hoping, in fact, this weekend to get it modded all up and working again with a new battery and storage and all of that. So this has been a lot of fun to go back through and find things that I haven't listened to in a while. Question number 11. Wait, I thought there were only 10. How are we on 11? What is an accessory that has come out recently that you can't imagine living without? Okay, I'm going to take some insane liberties on this one because it's not that this one just came out and audio accessory is very loose. But I've got to name this, and I think I'm coming up with something like elderly picker upper grabber pincher thing. Yeah, that's right. This is it right here. See this? Now, you might think this is the dumbest thing you have ever seen, but let me ask you a question. When you're changing out audio gear and you drop that cable back behind your entire system, that RCA cable goes back there, what is the first thing you do? Oh, I gotta lean over this thing and try to find it. You're like looking into the abyss. It's like cable purgatory. Where did it go? I just say goodbye to them. Goodbye forever. It's gonna just sit down there until I move. That is until I got the pincher grabber thing. Now I can just reach down behind there, grab that cable, and pull it back up. This has saved me so many times, especially when swapping gear in and out for YouTube reviews. I know it's silly, but I absolutely love it. If I had to be more serious and come up with a number two, it would be these little adapters here that you put on the rear of vintage gear with the speaker terminals are only those annoying screws, and it's such a pain to get the wires in, and you can't even connect a banana plug to it. You pop this little guy on the back there, and then you can insert the banana plug back there. These would be my strong second recommendation. I bet you never thought you'd see something like this, would you? Okay, that's it. I have had so much fun making this video. I think I've picked on Kevin a little bit throughout, but to be honest with you, I am insanely flattered that I was even thought of when he was making this video and tagging other folks in it. It's just fun to kind of go through and answer these questions and do something a little bit different rather than reviewing a DAC. That's exactly like the same DAC you reviewed the week before. That's very similar to the DAC you reviewed the week before that. All right, listen, if you've had fun watching this video, I've mentioned a lot of products that I've made videos about before. The one that I just really do love the most, though, is my Macintosh MC2505. If you want to know more about that receiver and just how much I really do love it, you can do so by watching this video here.